Good evening. Welcome back to Bald Feather Bets, guys. Quick recap on Monday Night Football. A little bit of talk on the college football playoff, but not much because we're not seeing a lot of value now that we're in the last week. And then laying out 4 plays for you in the NFL, 3 in college, and the game, as you can see in the title of the video. We're going to talk a little bit more in depth about that. Monday Night Football, we got very lucky. San Francisco coming away with a win at -7. Had no business covering that game, but we did. When your quarterback throws 3 picks in the first half, and not only are you having a chance to cover, you're on the number at halftime. You're at 7 points at halftime. About as lucky as you're going to get in sports betting. So sometimes you just say thank you and you move on. Carolina probably deserved to cover that one, but we will take it. So 3-0 on Monday Night Football. Win for us, solid. College football playoff, guys. I'm going to make a quick comment on the committee. They are pathetic. I got 3 main grievances. There's no reason Miami should have moved up. The only reason they're doing that is public backlash, which I understand the public backlash. I get why people say this is bullshit, that Miami and Notre Dame are the way that they are. Stick to your guns. If you're the college football playoff committee, stick to your guns. You have it set this way. Why do you keep inching Miami up there? It's because you're responding to public backlash. There is no other reason. Miami hasn't come out and looked overly impressive against anyone. There hasn't been anything that keeps saying, okay, Miami needs to inch up. You're just responding to public backlash. Stop. Moving Michigan up 3 spots after they beat a team who had to come out and let you know that they're not firing their coach. The only reason you did that is because you said, oh shit, we're in a position now where if Michigan beats Ohio State, we're going to have to move them way up there to get them in the playoff. You probably should have had Michigan ahead of Texas 2 weeks ago when Texas lost to Georgia. You should have had Michigan in this spot the whole time. You didn't, because the last thing that was in your mind was the loss against USC. And now you're like, well, wait a second. Throwing out everything that we've thought before about Michigan, they're 9-2. If they beat Ohio State, they're going to be 10-2 with a win against Ohio State. We're going to have them factored in this thing. So they move them up 3 spots for no reason. BYU. Regardless of what I think of BYU, I don't think BYU is a very good team. It doesn't matter. They're 10-1. Their strength of schedule is better than that of almost every single Big Ten team who is in this conversation. Their only loss is against a number 5 team, Texas Tech, on the road. They have wins over multiple teams that are within S&P's plus top 25. For them to be on the outside looking in is ridiculous. They should be in this in the playoff. There shouldn't be a question. If BYU goes 11-1, it doesn't matter what they do in the Big 12 title game. They should be in this, especially if you had SMU where you had them last year. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That's not what this show's about. We're about a betting and value, etc. Value that we see. I did an experiment today where I parlayed Oklahoma, Alabama, and I didn't actually place it. I just wanted to see what it was. Oklahoma, Alabama, Notre Dame all to win. You're getting anywhere between -120 and -130 on whatever book you're at. So there's always juice in the favor of the book. Cheers. A little bit of wine. So they're telling you it's about a 50-50 shot that all 3 of those teams went out. Let's be honest. They're not talking about Notre Dame. They're at -20,000. I think when I added in Notre Dame, it would move it like from 129 to like 127 sometimes. So they're talking about Oklahoma or Alabama. Your value here is taking one of those teams 11 through 15, so BYU through Michigan, and hoping that you get a loss between Oklahoma or Alabama and things shake out your way. BYU's live. Miami's live, especially because of you also have the chance that Miami can get in the ACC title game, and you have the fact that there may be so much public backlash if they put Notre Dame in, they feel like they have to put Miami in this thing. Utah's out. Don't waste your money on Utah. Vandy's live because they have that game against Tennessee, if you like Vandy in that game. And Michigan is live. But I told you guys 2 weeks ago to take Michigan at plus 1,000. Michigan is now at plus 340. Guess what they are money line against Ohio State? Anywhere between 305 and 315. So the books are telling you if Michigan beats Ohio State, they're probably going to the playoff. that plus 1,000 ticket 2 weeks ago is what you guys should have grabbed. But if you didn't, you can still get plus 340, 350, 335 now. If you want to get crazy and you want extreme value, you're going to need to go 16 and beyond. You're going to need to go with one of these 3-loss teams like Texas or Tennessee. For one of those to get in, you need both Oklahoma and Alabama to lose. You need Tennessee has to beat Vandy, obviously. Texas has to beat Texas A&M. I don't know if you really need Utah to lose to Kansas. For Tennessee to get in, you need Utah to lose to Kansas. For Texas to get in, if Texas beats Texas A&M, that might be enough to have them jump Utah, especially the way Utah's looked to close the season. BYU's getting one of those spots if Oklahoma and Alabama both lose. You need Miami to lose. Vandy loses to Tennessee. You need Ohio State to beat Michigan. That's too much. If you parlayed all that stuff together, you're probably going to get better odds on that than if you take the Texas to make the playoff ticket. So honestly, if that's what you want to bet on, also go look at that parlay of all those things happening and see what the better value is. I should have done that before I recorded this video. Sorry about that. Okay, that's really it on playoff value. Let's lay out these picks for you guys. So we'll do the 2 college ones. We'll come back to the game because I got a little bit more on that. And then we'll lay out the 4 NFL ones. We are on Mississippi State plus the 7.5 against Ole Miss for 5 units. There is a significant advantage here with Mississippi State's offense going up against Ole Miss's defense in terms of shaping in that pass game, and honestly even the run game for Mississippi State against a Ole Miss defense which has been porous almost all year. You also have the emotional human factor of if Kiffin's leaving Ole Miss, there's no way those players don't know at this point. That would just be insane for him to keep it from him. There's a lot of speculation that everyone knows he's going to LSU. Yes, there could be changes and people matching deals and all that stuff. It's a lot to be surrounding a team at this point. There seems to be this notion that Ole Miss has to win to get in the playoff. I can't imagine that they would keep him out at 10-2, but maybe they would. Egg Bowl at Mississippi State, Cowbells. This is a tough spot for Ole Miss. I really like Mississippi State here, plus 7.5 for 5 units. Washington, plus 7 for 5 units against Oregon. Another one where there may not be a more overvalued team in the country than Oregon. They are okay. They're good, is what I would say. Lanning doing his little rant after he had his best win of the season, and it was against USC, and he's played the schedule that he has, talking about SEC teams, was fun, to say the least. Washington also has some matchup advantages here, especially with the mobile QB against Oregon, that just doesn't warrant a 7-point spread at home. Oh, by the way, Mississippi State, feel free to take down the 7, but it's available at 7.5 at multiple places, so just get it at 7.5. Washington, keep it at 7. Get it at 7. I wouldn't go lower than that. We'll come back to Ohio State, Michigan. Okay, NFL. We're on the Raiders plus 10 against the Chargers for 3 units. We are on the Steelers. At the time when I looked at this earlier in the day, you could get 4.5. You now can only get Steelers plus 4. You could only get that at one major book. We're taking the Steelers plus 4 for 3 units. If you can't get it, I would wait. Because if you still wanted it plus 3 later in the week, that's fine. And the difference between 3.5 and 3 is a push your way. If you can get the 4, then you get a push your way even to a better number. If you're someone who doesn't have access to all books and you can't get the 4, I would wait. But we're on Steelers plus 4 for 3 units. We're on the Titans. Oh, God. Even hurts me to say it. We're on the Titans plus the 7 for 3 units. You can get multiple 7s. Don't go under that. Oh my God. You guys know my feeling on betting on the Titans. But then at the same time, I'm like, oh, we're on the Raiders plus 10. I don't know how many losses we have on the Raiders. I think we've won like 1 game on the Raiders all year. And I'm like, yeah, let's put more money on the Raiders. Then in Sunday Night Football, okay, we're on the Commanders plus the 7 for 3 units. This is a feel it out thing. If Jaden Daniels plays, you're going to lose the 7 very quickly. They've come out and said, the coaching staff come out and said, it'd be highly unlikely for him to play. None of that means anything until you get an actual injury report. Jaden Daniels has said that he's pushing towards playing. We're taking a bit of a risk here. If you're not willing to take that risk on Daniels, wait, because then you're going to go way better number than 7. This thing's going to push closer to 8. I mean, you might even push towards 10, honestly, if you have Mariota in there and not Daniels. The books are not reacting to a coach saying like, well, it'd be highly unlikely for him to play. They're waiting on that injury report because Daniels has been practicing. He even started practicing last week. So it's up to you. We have enough cushion lead here if you've been with us all year and you have the same cushion lead unit cushion that we do. Just take it at plus 7 for 3 units. And let's take the risk on it. Thanksgiving weekend, Sunday Night Football against the Denver team who's doing like that well. I kind of think he's going to play. I mean, he's going to push to play. He's going to push to play. You know he is. Okay, so those are our 4 NFL picks. A couple of those, if you want to wait on them. The other 2, lock those in right now. Because the Titans have already gone to 6.5 at some books. Raiders are at 9.5 at some, but there's a lot of 10s out there, so snag the 10. Okay, now the game. So let's start with last year. Last year was one of the most frustrating. We were on Ohio State last year, even though it was against what my model said. It was against what everything that I believed in. We did it because of the matchup advantage that Ohio State had outside on Michigan, and then they chose to run the one game plan that led into a Michigan victory, which was run the ball at the middle. Ryan Day left that game and said we needed to run the ball better, and he didn't. He could have not ran the ball until the second half and won the game, and probably still ended with more rushing yards had he done it that way. I've continuously also heard him say throughout the offseason, hey, we're going to need to run the ball better against Michigan. Okay. Michigan, for everyone that gets trumped up in the game last year, they didn't even play well. Michigan played terrible last year. Michigan capitalized on an interception near their goal line to score a touchdown and kick 2 field goals. They threw an interception when they were going in to score it. Michigan played awful last year. They got very lucky with a couple of things, and then there were a couple of things that Wink's scheme did well against Kelly's scheme. Or we're going to talk about Wink's scheme here in a second. Line came out at 12.5. Sharps hammered Michigan, took that thing down to about 10. You saw some 9.5s creep up there. Sharps hammered Ohio State at 9.5. We've kind of settled in there's 9.5s, there's 10, and there's 10.5s out there. We've settled in that range. My model after adjustments has it at 9.5. My model before adjustments heading into the week was at 7.5. Preseason, this was at 5.5. Throughout the year, you could get Michigan plus 5.5 and then 6.5, depending on the book. Then the look-ahead line 2 weeks ago came out at 12.5. I was shocked. A lot of people were shocked. It was a lot higher than a lot of people expected. It's why you saw Sharps hammer it and it come down to 10, 10.5, 9.5, but around 10. So what are these teams going to do to each other this year? Wink runs a half and half scheme. So what Wink Martindale wants to do is he wants to lock down one of the side of the field with a corner, playing man, and then he wants to run a zone on the other side, and then he wants to run an exotic blitz off of that, so you don't know whether or not the blitz is coming from the zone side or from the man side. And he usually lines it up strategically with strong and weak side too. It gave Will Howard fits last year because he was very confused by the defensive coverages. It's why he threw uncharacteristically a couple of picks. Ohio State then also fell into the trap of seeing, well, it's a run look, we're going to run the ball, and Ohio State wasn't able to run the ball against Michigan, mainly due to matchup advantages that Michigan had in the trenches against Ohio State, some of which they will still have this year. Kelly isn't running the offense at Ohio State anymore. A former wide receivers coach is running the offense at Ohio State this year. I find it very, very difficult to believe that Brian Hartline is going to go lose a race with a Honda Civic when he has two F1 cars sitting in the driveway and Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith. Now, they may not be 100% healthy. Okay. I expect him to throw the ball. I don't care what Day has said about we have to run the ball better. I just can't imagine Hartline, knowing what he has in Smith and Tate, decides, I'm going to lose this game by running the ball up the middle again. With that being said, Julian Sayin has faced little to no pressure all year. When he has faced pressure, he has not been quite as good as you would imagine. It has just been in such small sample sizes that you have to get pretty deep into film to find it. But he does get put off his spot, and then he does become inaccurate. Happened a few times against Texas, happened a few times against Penn State, especially in the first half. It is possible to happen. Offensively for Michigan, defensively for Ohio State. I think you guys know, I've said it before, I think Jim Knowles is the best defensive coordinator in college football. A weakness of a 4-2-5 that he runs, which he runs a very strict 4-2-5. Like, Patricia's running elements of that 4-2-5 because 4-2-5 is the best thing you can do to unlock essentially the hybrid roverness of a player that you have at safety, so i.e. Caleb Downs. But he's not in such a strict 4-2-5 formation. Like, the one way that you attack a 4-2-5 is you run the ball up the middle. That's why Michigan built the way that they did, and then they ended up attacking Ohio State the way that they did, and why that's how this thing has evolved over time. Ohio State this year, while they've given up a little bit in terms of defending outside zone, outside of really Texas, no one's run the ball up the middle on them. And Texas only did it for first half-ish. When it really came crunch time in the second half, Texas couldn't really run it up the middle either. They are also going to put this on Underwood. The difference here is, had you done that with like J.J. McCarthy wasn't talented enough to beat you with his arm. I think you guys are seeing 9 in the NFL now. He has a long way to go in terms of being an actual pocket passer quarterback who then has that dual threat capability. He is a game manager who wants to have rollouts and runs first. It's very difficult for him to beat you from the pocket. Bryce Underwood very much so has that capability. He's just extremely young. Patricia will put Bryce Underwood in very, very difficult spots. I expect both the quarterbacks to have struggles in this game. I expect Michigan to be able to run the ball a bit better. We're talking about an Ohio State team who's in the 50s in rush yards per game. We're talking about a Michigan team that's like 11th. We're talking about a Michigan team that's like 6th in yards per rush. If Day sticks to, we have to run the ball to win the game, Ohio State is going to lose outright. If they think that they have to come away from this game with more rush yards than Michigan, and that's how they have to win it, because it's like the whoever rushes for more yards wins the game. So from script one, we're running the ball, and that's what we're doing because we can beat these guys running the ball. Ohio State will lose the game outright. I do not believe that is what they're going to do because I don't think Hartline will let them. I believe they're going to throw the ball. I believe Tate and Smith are going to make enough plays on the outside to give Ohio State a win. However, I believe Wink in the system going up against Sayin, who is still very young, will keep this game low scoring. I believe there will also be enough plays from Underwood on a flash side and enough ball control from Michigan to keep this low scoring. And we like Michigan plus the 10.5 for 5 units. All right, y'all. That's it. We're out of here for that. We had 4 plays in the NFL. We had 3 plays in. Oh, and take that. You can get multiple 10.5s, but you're fine to take it at 10. Don't go under 10. There's a reason sharps are hitting Ohio State at 9.5. We are out of here. We'll be back at you again tomorrow with our thoughts on the NFL playoff picture, where there's more value in that because we have more time, right? But yeah, at this, look for one of those teams ranked 11 to 15. Potentially for value there. If you want crazy value, go 16 beyond. I really think the only 2 you should consider is Texas and Tennessee. Still wouldn't do it though. I don't think they have a chance to make the playoff. And then yeah, Mississippi State, Washington, Michigan, NFL, Titans, Steelers, Commanders, Raiders. We love the Raiders. All right, y'all. Have a great night. Talk to you guys later.